But you know what, guys? There's one more, okay? And you know what? I didn't actually expect to be saying this, but Mechanist, the engineer, the Jade Buster Golem. I'm underwhelmed when I saw this, because we saw the preview on live stream CMC. I am actually not super convinced about this one. I find it actually the least convincing out of the three here. Visually spectacular. We're seeing it now, right? Amazing, like, truly incredible. It looks awesome. I love the fact that, and well, we'll see this later, when you change traits, the Golem's arms change. Amazing, right? If you've got a ranged weapon, it's got like a ranged laser. It's got like melee blades that it can swipe with, right? And like a knuckle that you can be defensive with, stuff like this. It's so cool, right? It's amazing. I love it. Like, it's such a cool roleplay spec. But I almost feel that this is actually going to be the Deadeye of Ender Dragons. It seems to be a roleplay spec, which is fine. Okay, there's absolutely nothing wrong with an RP spec, but it's not. I don't find it to be like Omega impactful. It has absolutely insane Alacrity potential. And we'll get into that right now. Actually, take a look at this ability here. There's huge Alacrity potential. So if you look here, this mech frame channeling conduits here, this trait here, you grant Alacrity when you or your mech apply barrier, also grant Alacrity to the affected target. Your mech gains a great percentage of your own concentration and healing power. So boom, 100% concentration, 100% healing power there, and you get 1.25 seconds of Alacrity on every single barrier. That synergizes amazingly well with barrier. You get a pulsing AoE barrier every 3 seconds. You get barrier on your auto attack here as well. There's an AoE barrier here on your Mace auto attack. So you have ridiculous Alacrity uptime there, which is great. I mean, it's got a nice little bit of support there on the auto attack there with some condition damage too, confusion being applied, which is nice. You got a lot of condition variety here for NG. But I've got to ask the NG mains, is this better than pistol for DPS? Actually, a tough sell in my opinion. I guess you can maybe, because pistol 2, pistol 3, pretty good actually for Condi NG. Particularly thing is you have a trait for that as well. Although I think they just made it flat, not just for pistol abilities now. I think it's just like flat extra Condi damage, but it's, I don't know. Confusion's good, and you have a pretty good auto attack there as well, but it's weird. It's definitely going to be, you'll take Mace if you want to give Alacrity and support. And you do actually have a very legitimate condition damage option, which NG's kind of struggle with for a little bit actually. Here as well, you actually have this rolling smash here, this condition build here. If you take this trait, single edge cutters, right? So you actually get loads of bleeding here. You get the, look, before we actually get into the meat here, we've actually got to talk about how amazing this is mechanically. This is some of the coolest thing I've ever seen. Seriously, guys, let's just watch CMC go over this. Check this out, guys. I think he's going to do it now and like change all these abilities, okay, and just go through them. But every single trait, guys, changes one of the mech abilities. Isn't it amazing? Isn't that just the coolest thing ever? Which is why I actually have a lot of hope for the specialization. Right now, I'm not sure how it's going to perform in any game mode, to be frank, actually. AI, leaning so heavily on AI. Ugh, it's really a bit like, it's pretty tanky. 46k HP, which is nice, I guess. But I don't know, man. But yeah, check this out. Look, all those abilities, look, every single trait changes a skill, right? So you have this power damage setup, you have a Condi damage setup, and a support. But you could pick. You don't have to go, oh, I only want Condi, only want power, only want support. You could actually pick any of these abilities with any of these traits. Absolutely amazing. So the coolest design. One of the coolest design traits ever. They always go so hard on NG, man. Holo was a bit like this with a huge amount of customization over your Holo Forge. But now we've got it on NG, and it's literally every trait gives you a new ability. That is absolutely spectacular. I love to see it, guys. I really, really do. Now, the problem is that the Golem does inherit all of your stats, which is nice, right? That's good. So it will actually be able to do solid DPS. But this comes at a very heavy cost, guys. You give up your entire tool belt for this. Ouch. Big ouch. So, this mech needs to be damn good. Okay? Because tool belt skills are basically the trade-off for not having a weapon swap on NG, essentially. Getting, like, doubling down on your utilities, and you get kits too. It's part of that trade-off that Engineer inherently has. And not having that is going to suck. You're going to lose stun breaks in PvP for this. You're going to lose personal damage output. In PvE, you won't have grenade barrage. You won't have big old bomb. You won't have any of the turret skills. The turrets just sit down there and do nothing. Blah. It almost feels like you should have weapon swap on this. I mean, we're going to have to see how the numbers play out, I guess, with some of this stuff, at the end of the day. But it's definitely a very heavy trade-off for this mech here. As you can see, the mech abilities are strong. It's able to attack quite quickly at range. So you can definitely pump with this. But again, bear in mind, it is an AI. So its damage output may not be quite as good. And if it dies, you lose, like, you're literally worse than base NG. So if your mech is dead, guys, you are a base NG missing 5 skills. Oh no. This is definitely subject to tune. They actually mentioned this specifically on the stream, actually, that you have, they are looking at tuning up these, they are looking at the recharge. Basically, if you dispel your mech and it's on full health, it's a 10-second cooldown. Not too bad, right? But slight issue here, guys. If the mech basically dies, it's 100 seconds until you can re-summon it again. So you're like useless for like 100 seconds, dude. Oh my god. Like, what is that? Which is a little questionable in that regard. I think it's fairly safe to say. Okay, but I think that will probably get reduced because that's just way too punishing, right? Like, way too punishing. In PvE, whatever, it's all right. It's okay, but your bar, yeah, but you don't have all your other skills, guys. Like, you lose like what NG has always had for a very, very long time. But which is not exactly ideal. Yeah, you take a little hydration break and then move on. Now, here's an interesting thing as well, actually. Like, the Alacrity application for this is going to be 5 target. And this is a bit of an elephant in the room, because this is something that we've seen with a lot of specializations, actually, kind of across the board here, is that they haven't really gone for anything 10 target in the upcoming expansion whatsoever. This, to me, says there's going to be a reckoning. I think they're probably going to just, like, make everything 5 target, I think. And just move it away completely from 10 target. Because this is actually going to be a big problem. Like, with a lot of the elite specs, everyone says, oh yeah, in PvE, this stuff struggles a little bit. Oh, in PvE, oh, okay. Well, one of the really big reasons for that is because in PvE, the norm for support abilities is actually leaning towards 10 targets. Right? 10 target Rev, Alacrity, 10 target Mirage, Alacrity. Quickness is typically more towards 5 targets, but, 10 target Prot on Tempest, on Druid, right? Like, 10 target defensive boons here. And there's no defensive boon on any of these new specs that actually is 10 target. Everything is 5 target, which is why they feel a little bit lackluster. Even looking at something like Spectre. Like, Spectre actually struggles, in my opinion, to hold up simply because Scourge is 10 target. Simply because Tempest and Druid are 10 target. It makes them very unattractive in general, and MECHANIST is no different. Yeah, you can apply all the good boots. You could have that barrier field, and you can apply loads of AoE barrier with this, which is great, right? Barrier's really strong, right? And if you have, obviously, with the CMC stuff here and all the numbers that we have available, obviously, this is probably without much healing power going on, so it's going to get way better when you actually get yourself some healing power on this stuff, particularly on your auto attack. This could be really juicy, right? Like, if you have a lot of healing power, if you're applying like a 1k barrier with quickness on your 3rd auto chain, if you can actually do this, that is really good. Particularly if you then spec into it with the barrier signet, again, pulsing barrier, awesome, love that, really strong. Then we also have the pulsing barrier field that you can put down with the Golem. The barrier burst here, 5 pulses of 600. Again, you can scale that up with healing power, right? Amazing, really strong. Might, Fury, Vigor. And look here, regen, Prot, Alacrity, Aegis. Hell yeah, right? Great, loads of good boon access here. But the problem is, there's one issue, guys. Oh. The abilities are well designed. Oh my god. So instead of spamming this all the time, you use this when you actually need these boons. But oh wait, that's not how the current game is designed. Oh. The game is designed around spamming every boon perma. Right? With no thought or any level of intelligence on using these abilities. And it's all 10 target. So this is a great skill. These skills are really cool. But they're well designed. And the current game isn't well designed. And therefore they suffer. Right? And I don't know. Like, when I look at this, guys, I'm almost thinking that they're going to, like, annihilate the PvE meta. They're going to, like, they're going to purge PvE hard. They're going to nuke it from orbit. Because for a skill like this to be good, I mean, it can be good. Don't get me wrong, it can be good. But you have to obliterate Tempest and Druid for this stuff to really have power and have value. Right? You have to crush it for supportive skills like this to have value. And buffing skills like Barrier Burst to have value. And hey, maybe that's going to happen. But for PvE, this is definitely going to be great. And I think, you play it in a bit like the Thief, the Spectre. It's going to be like an Alacrity bot that will give 5 target Alacrity. But wait, you've got 10 target Alacrity. I don't want to get into that too much. Well, we can discuss that another time here, really. But you get what I mean, right, guys? It is, it's a really difficult thing because this is getting held back by current game design a lot. These abilities are really cool. They're definitely fun with the way that they work here. But this is going to be so punishing if your mech dies, right? It does have a break bar, which is nice, so it won't get CC'd so much in PvP, so it can really kind of get in there and do damage. But it is a pretty big punish for the break bar. It's a 5-second stun on that there as well, which is not really a happy thing too much there as well. But there you go. Ooh, hang on. Okay. Okay. New meta is 5 Spectre, 5 Blades, 1 cheese, everything. Yeah, I like it. Indeed we can. And yeah, this is pretty good stuff. You know, you got the shouts up there on the mech. I like this. You shout it with your mech too. All the skill design is a lot of fun. I like the signets here as well. There is, of course, a signet trait as well that basically just reduces their cooldown, I think. Yeah, Sky Circus. This one's fun too, right? Yeah, you get better passive effects, and you get their passes while they're recharging. Standard signet ability there as well. And you get this, like, random mech ability the entire time, right? Where it, like, keeps, like, laser beaming down. Really cool, actually. I actually want to show it. It's really good. Let's see if we can actually show it on stream because this is such a cool effect here when he actually shows off the Omega laser beam here. The J drive, okay? The mech J drive. Check it out, check it out. Blah! That's fun. Maybe not the best ability in this because it appears to be like almost random, I think, where he actually fires, but it insanely cool, like ion, like the it's like I love the roleplay. Like the mech. It's not Apple computers, guys. It's Canton computers. The mech is like flying overhead, like laser beaming, like while it's repairing itself. Such a cool idea there. Oh, and this trait here as well, this Jade Dynamo, right? There's a lot of really cool design here. So now that your mech basically gets the explosive trait line, so now you can get flashbanged by a mech. Wow, truly incredible there, guys. I love to see it. Amazing gameplay, but definitely a powerful trait there. If you wanted to play some kind of PvP grenade build, like, you know, the Grenadier mech Lord could be very, very powerful. But that definitely does lead us on to PvP. Okay. PvP. Definitely a bit of a weird one here, guys. Okay? Because here's the deal. Here is the deal. Your mech is gonna die. and then you're useless. I mean, maybe it's going to be like really OP and the mech's just going to farm everyone, but I think it's just going to die and be useless, okay? Like, that's real, guys. That is some real stuff. That's some real talk there. I mean, it's going to have like, what, like 40k HP, which is like a ranger pet, but ranger pets get melted right now, even in 1v1s, right? Like, yeah, the mech can cleanse itself. You have an ability to make it cleanse with Chrysler on a 40-second cooldown. And yeah, maybe you can like medkit it. Maybe you can medkit the mech or something like that. Okay. And do that, right? But oh no, and yeah, you can use the elite signet. The elite signet can resummon the mech there too to get it back. So maybe that's actually enough to kind of like win a 1v1 using that mech. That's definitely possible because having that elite signet's going to be good. But I don't know. I think you're going to struggle to survive on this build. So let's suppose that you're bunkering or 1v1ing. Where does your sustain come from exactly? Like, where are you healing? Because you don't have hollow. You're not hollow smith. I guess you can like barrier sustain, but you're not really going to have a lot of self healing from something, not a lot of self boon application with the prot really. Maybe you can like do overshield. Stuff like this. You can like overshield there. Okay, and you can take shield offhand with the protection trait there and kind of like play prot mechanist in a way and like apply loads of prot and heal yourself there too. But the boons aren't pulsing. The signets can maybe help you hold on there with a little bit of healing, a little bit of barrier here and there as well. But I think you're going to be so vulnerable on this build here. Like, you're going to be such an easy target to pick off, and the mech probably won't be enough to peel you, right? It probably won't be able to save you enough in PvP. In a team fight, this dies in 1 second. It's going to insta-die within microseconds, so you're not really going to be doing much here. Maybe you could, like, somehow get the mech to stay out of the team fight and, like, artillery people, but it's AI. It's going to run in and feed, right? So unless you're very careful with it, it's not going to do anything, right? It's going to be a feed-in frenzy, guys. A feed-in frenzy. Okay, but I'm not going to lie, guys. I don't see this having much play in PvP. Maybe it can be really annoying with barrier. Maybe the numbers, the scaling's really good, and it can self-barrier itself to victory, and it will just, be, like, unkillable and super annoying and irritating in that regard. But I definitely have my doubts here. Like, I think if you do play this, it is going to be kind of that bunkery style, that duelist there. Like, you 1v2 people with the mech, right? And maybe you try and keep it alive. Maybe you medkit, okay? Or elixir gun and, like, cleanse the mech. Like, your entire job is keeping the mech alive while it kills your allies. That is actually, maybe. But, dude, the thief, the Spectre pluses you and tethers your mech, right? Boom! There's the real true big brain play. I think it's really hard to make a call about PvE with this build, by the way. I mean, if the mech does lots of damage, then it will do lots of damage. The Alacrity support is nice, but again, it's only 5 target. And the question is, what can you do at the same time? If you dedicate to Alacrity, can you still do DPS on this build? There's actually not a crazy amount of DPS increases, and you give up your tool belt skills, which are DPS increases, particularly stuff like grenades, right? Flamethrower, tool belt is like really, really good. There's a lot of really powerful DPS increases on your tool belt skills, which you have to give up if you want to play with the mech, which isn't really ideal whatsoever. But I don't know, it's possible. Yeah, you can reduce the cooldown of the mech abilities with tools there as well, so maybe you want to go with tools. Seems to me, though, that this will be kind of a bit of a roleplay spec, at least for now, with this mech. Very flashy, very cool, lovely trait design. Love to see that. I love how the mech even changes, right? You can see how in this video it's got, like, laser guns, and it will have blades, right, if you take certain abilities, right, so it can spin around. It will have, like, a fist to punch people with, differently there, too. I do like the AoE barrier, right? I can see it. Right, I can definitely see the AoE barrier support being quite potent here as well. But is that enough for a complete build? That's where you're in trouble, because I don't think it's not that complete package, right? Like, because think about the things that are in the game right now. Like, if you're playing Scourge, you can barrier and do great damage. Is it going to do great damage in barrier? Maybe, but it's going to be a little bit tricky to pull off. Like, you can, if you look at something like Tempest, it can, like, heal and do Giga 10 target boons. This can probably heal with Medkit and give, like, kind of okay boons in Alacrity, but Rev can do 10 target Alac and do a bunch of damage on Righteous Rebel and do loads of power damage too. Mirage can do loads of damage and 10 target Alac and 10 target Might. Mechanist! Ooh. Oh. Little rough there, guys. Little rough situation. I've got to say it. It's definitely a tricky one. Probably the least powerful, in my opinion, out of these three. I honestly hope I get clipped right now, okay? And I'm really wrong, and this is like Giga OP. Because, dude, I want to play with the mech. I want to have mech gameplay. Mechanized Jade gameplay is what I want to see. However, I hate to say it, but as of right now, I don't see much of a place for this in any game mode. Like, again, by the way, it doesn't count if this comes out and it's like really, really bunkery or stupid, because that's just a numbers game, right? I'm talking about mechanics, right? I'm talking about like mechanically. I'm just not sure if it can really hold up to anything that currently exists in the game. But anyway, we will find out indeed, okay? We will find out very, very shortly. Yeah, I do like the, yeah, range strat mechs right there. Hell yeah, dude, okay? Range strat mechs. Very fun design, amazing thematically there, cool traits. Signets are pretty cool there as well. But the trade-off is brutal, and that's one thing as well. Why is it that some of these specs are getting trade-offs, by the way, and some of them don't? Like, Untamed literally gets no trade-off, by the way. Catalyst gets no trade-off, and NG loses its entire mechanic. It kind of has to, because otherwise you'd have too many buttons to press. But dude, NG definitely drew the short straw here on this one. You get absolutely obliterated and like lose all your mechanics. I think maybe if it was like, you don't have your tool belt skills while the mech is up, okay? It is something you could do. So when the mech is away, you still have tool belt skills or something like that. You know, maybe you move like the summon to the F5 and you still have F1 through F4. You could definitely do that and have it a little bit different in that regard. It's possible, but no. We will see. You gain mechanics. You do, but Ranger doesn't. Okay, it doesn't lose any. Okay. It loses nothing. Because it could be the rollper, right? Like, when the mech is there, right? You know, you're too busy controlling the mech to, like, reach to your tool belt. So it works with the rollper, right? You just can't do it. You cannot do it. And that gives the signets a bit more life, too, because the signets would then have tool belt skills, too, which would be pretty interesting, I think. So you could go in that direction there with the Mechanist. But, again, we'll see numbers. Maybe it pumps really hard. Maybe it does 1 billion DPS, right? You know, it can do a squillion DPS. And gives loads of Alacrity, which is nice, has a bit of boon access. So maybe it works out just numerically, but I think it's definitely on shaky ground for sure. PvP in World vs. World, you know what? I'm gonna bite the bullet, man. I don't think it's that good. Like in World vs. World, you can do like some meme shit and roam people with it, I guess, but it's AI. It's gonna be Pepega. It probably won't be that good. And yeah, I mean, it won't survive in a Zerg, right? It'll get instantly obliterated in a Zerg too. Feels bad, man. Zerg is gone. And in PvP, your Golem is going to die, and then you will die. There you go. Boom. That's how it is. That is how it is.